Hello, welcome back to the channel. So I was just making a video on the TPM 2 issue, and it seems that the video I made is outdated already, because even though what MSI told me in an email this morning that the new firmware that fixes the TMP2 issue could be released in a couple of weeks is actually untrue, because they released it this morning, which I find outstanding that the support team don't know when the engineers are going to release the update. So as it stands, MSI boards with the issue can now update to the required level. Now, as you can see, as per this image, this morning a update was released for my AM4 board to improve the TMP firmware, which will make game compatibility better. Now this is the update that I've been waiting for, so this should now fix my issue, and hopefully everyone else with the issue gets their update as well. I've noticed that the B550 boards have also been updated. Now if you somehow missed this problem that has been created by Black Ops 7 and Warzone, now requiring the TMP2 issue to be resolved. So basically what's happened is, if you have a motherboard that has TMP2 enabled but is at MSI, well, not just MSI, but at firmware level 3.92.05.5, then your firmware is out of date and you need to update it. The 0 is the problem. This 0 area has the flaws in the firmware, so you need to be anything above that 0. So for example 3.92.5.5, which is fine as long as it doesn't have the 0 in the firmware number, then you're good to go and the game should run. Now, like I was saying in my previous video that I was making, Battlefield 6 didn't need this level of requirement to be fixed. It ran at the current level on your firmware on the BIOS, but for some reason, due to flaws in the firmware and pretty big security flaws, Call of Duty requires an updated version to have these areas patched, so the anti-cheat works supposedly correctly. So the way you can check what level your TMP is at in Windows is using the TMP management tool. So you basically open the run box, the run dialog box, by pressing Windows key plus R, and it will pick up the Windows dialog box for you. Type tmp.msc in the command box, press enter, and it will launch the TMP management tool. You can check the status and spec version, and under the status section it'll give a message saying that TMP is ready for use, and then under the TPM manufacturer information it will specify the correct version that you're currently using. Now, like I say, if this has a 0 in it, you need to find the latest firmware from your board supplier, and if there isn't one that has the latest fix in it, you're gonna have to wait until your board manufacturer updates it. We've been waiting for MSI to update their board for a month. Well, all of their boards, like, you know, that they know the problems there. I mean, this problem's been around for 2 years, because every other manufacturer that's updated the boards has had this updated TMP firmware fixed and out. It's just MSI haven't bothered because there's never been a requirement. Now, obviously there is a requirement, and people are kicking off, and manufacturers of video games are asking them to sort the problems out. Now, like I say, if you have a 0, you need to do these checks and update the firmware. If not, you're going to have to wait until a board manufacturer develops a firmware for you, and there's no timeline on when that could be. As far as I'm aware, MSI seems to be the biggest problem with their AM4 boards. It seems to be the biggest issue at the moment, and looking from today, it seems that they've released the update. Whether my email last night prompted them or not to release it, because the beta now requires it, you know, I'm not sure, but hopefully it did some good, and I now have the correct firmware for my AM4 motherboard. So I'll get that on the system tonight and probably feedback on Twitter, or maybe make another video to show how it went. Obviously, once you install a new BIOS, it resets your settings on the BIOS, so you have to rejig them to what you had before, so take note of that before you update it. You know, like what speed your memory is running at, and other things like fan controllers and all that will all be reset because you're installing a fresh firmware. Now hopefully I haven't confused anyone and you understand a bit more what you need to do with the TPM update, because Call of Duty, although they try, they aren't the best at explaining things, and hopefully this sort of alleviates the pain. Ghost out.